I'm here. Hello. Hey guys, I'm here. Say hi if you can hear me, please. And make sure that the volume works. Go in the chat. Type in the chat if you can, okay? Type in the chat you can hear, and then Q&A. Any questions that you have, you can just put them into the Q&A section, all right? So chat is where you all can chat amongst yourselves. Do your thing. Let me get a tissue. Oh yeah, I do have tissue here. Good. Just in case. These allergies are just like killing me. My nose is either my eyes are watering or my nose is. There's like something ringing. Hang on. Okay. All right. I guess somebody was calling me on my iPad, which is very odd. But okay. All right. So Q&A is questions. Chat is chat. Everybody say hi. Introduce yourselves. If you're a newbie and you haven't been on any of my webinars before, thank you for joining. I know a lot of y'all come on my webinars. This is the 6th webinar I've done this month. All right. I think 6th, and not including anything from the Southland area or anything like that. These are just my webinars. So I've been trying to really just put myself out there, help you guys stay focused. This is one of the webinars to help you guys keep moving forward. So thank you for joining and hanging out with us. All right, so I see Alejandro, Catherine, Curtis, David, Jeff, Jasmine, Marcel, Richard, Ronak. All right, everybody, Shawnee's getting on. Okay, cool, awesome. All right, so thank you so much for joining. Let's get started. And let's see who else. Let me see. Chat. Let me pull the chat up too, just in case I'm missing anything. Good morning. I can hear you. Oh yeah, and that's another thing. I'm trying like a 12 o'clock webinar, right? So the webinars are always like, random, always in the evening time. So I was like, I'm gonna try like an afternoon lunchtime webinar, just see how it goes as well too. So, okay. So today we're going to talk about how to choose the right market, right? So basically what I was thinking was, there's people just all over the United States right now, and they're just trying to figure out like, okay, how do I get started in real estate investing? And the first kind of step that you do is you choose which market you're going to be working in. And I've gone over in a couple of other my webinars that you can, you can literally, especially right now, you can just work from your home and be completely virtual. I mean, you can look for houses and start creating the foundations of your business. And you can do that kind of, you can be you can work anywhere in the United States. You can find properties anywhere in the United States right now, right? So let's kind of go over that and like what I'm thinking, how you should be doing this and how you should be focusing on this. All right, so how to choose the right market is the first slide. Let's go here. Okay. So real fast, I just wanted to get into the, talk a little bit about COVID. I know everybody's kind of, thinking about this. We're in Georgia now. Georgia's opening and starting to slowly open up and try to get back to business. So we'll see how that goes. But essentially the entire world is having issues, and everybody knows this, right? So the question is, what's going to happen over the next couple of months? What's going to happen to the real estate market? And everybody's just speculating. The truth is that everybody is just speculating, right? Nobody really knows. We're all guessing, right? So is it a V shape? Is it an L shape? Is it a U shape? So nobody really knows. So the truth is, and kind of what I'm focusing on, is really not trying to focus on like what's going to happen for the world or into the United States. What I'm focusing on is what can I do right now to make sure that I'm moving forward, make sure that I'm on the path that I should be on, right? And and just keep focused on that, right? So hopefully you guys hopefully you guys are doing that as well too. Right now is the best time to get into the real estate market. Right now is the best time to get in the real estate market because prices are starting to drop. I was watching a webinar I don't know if it was yesterday or a couple of days ago, and it was from CoreLogic. It was a very good webinar, and it was on. I mean, basically, they were just. I mean, but if you don't know CoreLogic is essentially it's a data company. It's a real estate data company. They also sell some services and stuff, but essentially, it's just a data company, and they just monitor the real estate market throughout the United States. And they were doing a webinar, and we're going to get to that here in just a few minutes. But essentially, what they're saying is that, we really don't know what's going to happen. That's basically what they're saying. We really don't know what's going to happen, right? So let's just focus on kind of like trying to get the core steps set up in our business right now, especially if you're newbies, and actually put into the chat, like, are you a newbie? Have you been doing this for a while? How many deals have you done? Have you done 1 deal or 5 deals or more than 5 deals? So kind of where are you, so I can get kind of an idea. All right. And so this was actually part of the webinar that I watched. And so I took a little screenshot of this. This is right from CoreLogic. And essentially what they talked about on this webinar is the difference between like a V or a U market crash, right? And the question is, which one are we going to have? And if you ask like one organization, we're going to do this. And if you ask another organization, we're going to do this. But what was very interesting to me is if you look at this graph, you'll see, compare like 2008, the first quarter of 2008 to the first quarter of 2020, right? So you can see that the drop in growth, the GDP growth, and in 2008, look how small it dropped compared to what is going on right now in 2020. I mean, basically what they were saying on the webinar is there has been nothing like this at all, nothing. All right. So even if you compare 2020 to 2008, the drop, and because we have 22 million people or more now, we'll see this week, that file for unemployment. And I said, there's just been nothing like this in the past, 50 years, if you go back. So that is the question. That is the main question, is due to the fact that we've had so much of a growth drop and of unemployment and everything happening over the course of the last month. What is the gut going to do to the economy and the real estate market and the stock market and everything, right? So everybody's speculating, and you could speculate a V shape or a U shape, right? The V shape, essentially what a V shape means is that it's going to drop from now until 6 months, right? And they say anywhere from 6 months to a year, and then come back up, right? So it's like a quick drop, it drops and then comes back up. So a lot of people are saying, a lot of higher ups are saying oh no, it's just going to be like a V shape, which means it's going to, over the course of the next 6 months, it's going to drop, and then over the course of the next 6 months, it's going to go back up. So let's see if that happens, right? And then if a U shape essentially means it's a longer drop. So it's like this, it's like a 12-month drop and then a 12-month up, right? Kind of is what it is. To get back to the where it was, now. I mean, just to get back to where not even close, not even now, but is essentially coming out of the recession is what they're saying. So a 12-month drop and then a 12-month increase. Who knows? So it's going to be I'm very interested to see actually what's going to happen, how is everything going to happen, so I think, a lot of the people, like the government and stuff, they're trying to make it as short of a drop as possible, right? So that's why, for instance, I feel the governor is opening up. I mean, there's a lot of people in Georgia that, they just live, they live paycheck to paycheck, and it's they're having a hard time, and he's thinking about that. He's really thinking about that. So whether or not you agree or not, but that's what we're trying, they're trying to save it, right? So essentially, I'm very interested to see what's going to happen. And I'm really following closely, so I know exactly what I should be focusing on, right? Especially in the real estate market. So I've been watching a lot of webinars and trying to educate myself on that. What kind of impact do you expect the coronavirus to have on the housing market, right? And this is from Realtor.com. Oh, no, this is not Realtor.com. This is from Redfin. And I love this chart, and I put this in a couple of my other webinars, but essentially like what the people are thinking. Is it going to be is there going to be something bad that happens, no effect at all, or good, right? And so, and when you say bad, it means like, you know, the economy is going to crash and it's going to be like 2008 again. If you say no effect, like, oh, like, you know, as of the next couple of months, everything is just going to go back to normal and everything should be fine, right? Or good, as in like, what do you think that you're going to get out of this government, right? What do you think you're going to get out of this recession, right? And it's only 8.9% believe that it's good, like a good thing is going to come out of it, right? For me personally, I'm super excited. I believe that it's going to be good. All right, I'm ready and armed to be able to buy properties or whatever I want to buy over the course of the next 6 to 12 to 24 months, however long it takes, right? And the question is, are you ready for that as well too, right? Are you ready for what's to come? Hopefully this webinar will help you to get started. So this is kind of one of the first steps that you should be doing. Where should I be focusing on, right? Where should I be focusing on right now? And a lot of people are in Atlanta, but a lot of people are not in Atlanta. So the question is, should I focus outside of Atlanta, or can I focus outside of Atlanta? And okay, so, and then like, and everybody knows they're continuing to do, they're continuing to sell houses. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they were talking about, it was somebody that was interviewing somebody about like what's happening across the United States right now. And like, and this person that was doing the podcast, they had been interviewing people all over the country, real estate investors, all over the country. And essentially all the real estate investors that they had interviewed said like, nothing has changed. Like essentially houses are still being sold, houses are still being looked at, you know, they're still staying busy, they're still doing all their marketing, and for them their businesses have not changed at all, right? Which is a good sign, right? Which is a good sign, especially for the real estate market. So let's see. So what's going to happen? What is going to happen? This is my personal opinion. I have really no idea, right? All I know is exactly what I've been telling you, is that I know that I'm not going to stop looking for properties. I'm going to keep contacting sellers. I'm not going to give up. I know that I'm going to be focusing on passive wealth. This is what I focus on to build long-term wealth. I know that I'm not going to stop doing what I'm going to be doing, right? So the question, and again, the question to you is, what are you doing right now to keep moving forward? What you should be focusing, in my personal opinion, is these things, right? This is what I think you should be focusing on, right? And you should always be focusing on this. You should always, these are the things you should always be focusing on, is like getting your credit in order if you have bad credit, getting your money in order, right? So that you have money to buy properties, talking to all the lenders, right? Because you don't know which lenders are out there loaning money or not. You know, in all my masterminds over the course of the last couple of months, I've had several lenders coming in and talking and trying, and we're focusing on money right now, right? Because the more money that you have, then the more properties you're gonna be able to buy. So this is like a big topic for us, and getting your marketing in order, right? So, for me personally, what you should be focusing on is getting your marketing in order. And it takes a little while to get this stuff in order. This stuff is not something that you could just do in like one day, right? This is like when you're building the foundations of your business, this is stuff that takes a while. So you have to start with it now, because over the course of the next couple of weeks, you can get it all in order, so that in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, it's ready to start going, right? So start now is the point on getting your marketing strategies done. And then keep learning how to invest in real estate, right? So watch as many webinars as you can and get involved in a community that you know, is just like you and thinking like you, so that you have like these, you know, these people that are surrounded by you, right? So, and that will always keep you motivated, right? Because you're not an island. You can't do anything on your own. And if you sit there and do it on your own, in the end, you're just like, you're not gonna be able to keep moving forward, right? So this type of industry is an industry where you have to have a community around you, because you're always building your team. You're always looking for contractors. You're always looking for lenders. You're always looking for realtors, right? So join a community where you can easily find all these things. Okay. And so just a little bit about me, all right, you're in the right place. I love to say this, you're in the right place if you want to learn how to invest in real estate, because I have a passion for teaching people how to do this, and I love investing in real estate as well too. I could never ever stop. I'm stuck in real estate investing for the rest of my life. I'll be doing this because I just love it so much. I've been investing now for 10 years, right? So coming up on 10 years now. I've done over 100 rehabs in 5 years. I did 100 rehabs, right? I was running around like a crazy person. I've completed over several hundred transactions, right? Wholesaling, rehabbing, creative deal structuring, rentals, owner financing. I've owned commercial property. I own storage facilities, right? So I've done every type of transaction out there, all right? I've taught hundreds of students just like you how to get started in real estate. I love teaching people how to make money and just think outside the box, right? And just, you know, and really kind of build that wealth. Everybody wants that time, that freedom, and that wealth. And that's all of our goals. That's my goal as well too, right? So I'm here for you. You're in the right place. Okay, and this is me. So if any newbies are on the call, this is me. This is my husband, Pete, and my daughter, Lillian, right? We own Miss Lillian Self-Storage, right? So all of the storage facilities are for her. We live in a little tiny house up in the North Georgia mountains, right? So we've you know, kind of downsized, we focus really in our family, we focus on experiences, love, and respect. Those are the things that we focus on. This is me. This is one of the houses that I bought, and you know, this is me sitting out looking at one of my old houses that I bought, and I think I don't know if I wholesaled this one or rehabbed it. I can't remember, but this is what I used to do, right? And this is what I do now, driving around looking for storage facilities, especially abandoned facilities. So that's kind of my thing right now. Okay, so types of markets. Let's get into the nitty gritty. And before we get started, I just want to make sure there's no questions, anything like that. Just put them into the Q&A for all questions. I'm not going to look at the Q&A till the very end of the presentation. And then once we get into the end of the presentation, I'll take a few minutes and answer questions. If you want to chat amongst yourselves, you can use the chat, but I'll be focusing on the Q&A, okay? Okay, so types of markets, right? So there's 3 types of markets out there that you should be focusing on, right? All right, so one of them is the growth market, right? So actually in the chat, let's pull up the chat. If you can think of cities off of the top of your mind, it could be in Georgia or anywhere in the United States where cities are growing, like have been over the past couple of years growing, right? Type a couple of cities into the chat so we can get some ideas of where some growth cities are, right? And then the other one is stable, right? So it's just like it's doing what it's doing and that's it. And then you have the declining, right? Declining, which means like, let's just, you know, let's not go there. Let's not move there, right? So is there can you think of any, and put it in growth, you know, and you can put a city, or you can put stable and put a city, or you can put declining and put a city, right? So something like that. And then, so that way we can get some ideas. Like somebody here posted Peachtree City is stable, and I would completely agree with him. Yeah, like and actually Peachtree City, there's no place to grow, really. There's not, you know, Peachtree City is as grown as it can possibly be, right? So Logan'sville is definitely growing. Atlanta, what about Atlanta? Is it growing? Is it stable? What's going on with Atlanta? Jacksonville, what about Jacksonville? Is it growing? Is it stable? What else? Washington, D.C. is growing. Yes, yes. Charlotte, Dallas, and Nashville. Are those growing? Are those growing or are those stable? What do you think? And put that for each one. Fairburn, is it growing or is it stable? What is it? Or is it declining? Yeah. And let's see who else. East Point and College Park, are they growing or are they stable, right? So what's going on now? I just saw, like, just here in the Atlanta area, because I know there's people that are outside the Atlanta area or Georgia watching this, but here in the Atlanta area, there's a suburb, College Park, East Point, and they are doing some major developments there. And honestly, the South Atlanta area they're doing major developments in the South Atlanta area. So that I personally feel is going to be a very high growth area, right? For anything. I mean, there's going to be houses and multifamily, and there's going to be just a lot of growth there, right? So good. What else did y'all come up with? The chat is, if you don't find the chat is just, I'm not sure where the chat is actually, honestly. That's not my forte. Zoom is like above my head a little bit. I can pull up chat. I don't know where chat is. If anybody can put in chat, tell her where it is. Loganville, Gwinnett, Fairburn, Atlanta's growing. Good. Purpose. Great. Okay, so let's say, and we have 3 cities. So now when you start to think about which cities or states, areas that you're interested in, start asking yourself, well, is this really a growth area? Is it stable or is it declining, right? So that's kind of the first step when you look at where you want to be, right? Okay, and then this here is identifying the right market for you. Okay, so now that we've come up with some cities or some areas, like somebody said Washington, D.C., Charlotte, Dallas, Nashville, Atlanta, right? So these are all considered like growth areas. So now what you've got to do is you've really got to start looking at the demographics of each of these cities, right? So what is the population of these areas? How are they kind of built out, right? So let's just say you say, I'm very interested in the Dallas market, okay? So now you've got to go to Dallas and you've really got to kind of figure out, like, okay, where are the areas and jobs that Dallas is focusing on right now? What's growing? Where are they doing like new construction in that area, right? Where are any like major companies coming into the Dallas market, right? So for instance, like, remember when Amazon was like looking for a place to put their thing? Did they ever decide which one they were going to do? I'm wondering if they ever decided on that. If anybody knows where Amazon is going, because I remember it was like Atlanta, and I think it was like, I can't remember, Washington, D.C. or something like this. There was like a couple of different cities. If anybody knows what happened with that, then I put it in there, because I'm wondering about that. But essentially, in each of the cities that you're interested in, right, you want to find out these different things, okay? So what's the population? What's the job growth? How much is the time on market for houses, right? And this is something that you either have to ask a realtor, right? Or you can Google it, and you can Google it and see if you can figure it out that way. Companies like CoreLogic, you'd have to pay to get data from that. But like, there's a lot of companies kind of like that where you can get real estate marketing data. Local Monitor Report is a great company where you can get real estate marketing data. You have to pay for it, right? But essentially, if you want to get that data. Affordable housing. Let's talk about affordable housing, right? So, and we'll talk about this more over the course of the presentation, but right now in America, there is an affordable housing shortage, right? There's a affordable housing shortage, and we all know this, and especially in a downturn, this is going to be a key factor and where you want to be focusing your time and energy on, right? because houses over a certain range are not going to be able to be sold. So what you have to do is within that area, right? Within that area, when you're looking at your market, you need to find out, number one, how long is our houses on the market for, right? 30, 60, 90, 120 days. So for instance, like Austin, Texas, right? Austin, Texas. Now, up until this last month, Austin, Texas was probably one of the hottest areas in the nation, right? When they would get like, any house would get like multiple offers on it, right? Atlanta, not so much, right? I mean, over the course of the last year and a half, the housing market has dropped, right? And there's more expensive houses on the market that are just sitting there, right? And then the affordable houses, we're doing better, but still taking a little bit longer to sell, right? So the question is like, once you pick the city that you're interested in or the area that you're interested, try to find out what the time on market is for the houses. Try to find out, are they focusing on affordable housing and building affordable housing in that area? Because especially over the course of the next couple of years, it's going to be very pertinent for the growth of that city, right? Okay, so and then also you want to find out what the average cap rate is for like that area, for that city, right? 5 to 7% is like, 5 to 6%, maybe 7% is kind of like has been an average, right? You don't want to be focusing on investing in an area where it's just like a very minimal cap rate, especially like when you're looking at multifamily or commercial or whatever, any of those types of things. You want to look at an area where the cap rates are higher, right? So where in the country can you find areas of growth where cap rates for commercial property and multifamily properties are higher? All right, and I think that is a great question, a great research question to find out, because if you have a higher cap rate, then there's more growth, right? There's more, people want to invest more into that area. Landlord laws. This is a very good one right now, right? So which cities, which areas across the nation are having landlord law issues, right? Because I'm going to tell you, if you're having landlord law issues right now, ain't no investor going to be wanting to invest any houses and buying any houses in that area, right? So what areas are you interested in? Are they having landlord law issues right now? So let's focus on that, especially if you want to do some wholesaling and wholesale turnkey property, or if you want to buy rentals, right? If you want to buy rentals, well, you want to go to the most lenient landlord law areas, right? And then downtowns, right? So I know everybody's thinking of these big, huge metropolitan areas, Dallas and Charlotte and DC, all right? Now what about these smaller towns, right? What about these smaller towns? Like for instance, like Asheville, like 5 years ago was like barely, like I remember in the downturn, Asheville was like not any place that you'd be talking to. And now like everybody wants to be in Asheville, right? So what are the areas, what are the cities outside of these big metro areas that are going to be good in all of these areas? Population growth, job growth, downtowns are growing. They're really focusing, like for instance, like Sonoya. Like I used to live in Sonoya. And Sonoya, when I moved into Sonoya, nobody was going to Sonoya. All right. I was like 10, 12 years ago or whatever it is. And like, everybody wants to be in Sonoya now, right? Because of like the film industry and everything going on. So housing prices have gone up and all, they're just redoing downtown Sonoya. If you haven't been to downtown Sonoya, it's a very beautiful, beautiful little tiny town that's just booming right now. So you want to look for towns that are kind of around the bigger area, metropolitan areas that could possibly or are in the middle of growth, right? And growing. Okay. Okay, so determining your market, right? Determining your market. Okay, so now when you look at these cities, right, you want to look at like what is the desirability of each of these cities. So For instance, like Sonoya, like all the people that live in Sonoya, they want this kind of, they don't have this like small town feel, right? But they want to be kind of close to, quite close to other cities, right? So Peachtree City's here, Noonan here, and then there's a little Sonoya town, but they can just drive and be in any one of these cities in like, 10 or 15 minutes, right? So the desirability of each of the cities, you've got to really look at that, right? And then what can you afford, right? Or what can somebody afford? And this goes back to the affordable housing, right? So especially in the downturn, where is all of the affordable housing going to be built? Where are the contractors going to be focusing on to build new houses? Because there is going to be new construction, right? The new construction is not going to stop. Maybe it's slowed down a little bit right now, but it's not going to stop. And the reason why is because contractors, builders are smart, right? So they also watch the marketing trends, right? So, and we're going to get into this in just a second, but we're going to find out who is actually buying. Who is buying houses right now, right? And that's a question to think in your mind. Who is buying houses right now, and who will be buying houses over the course of the next couple of years, even in the downturn? And contractors and builders, they literally pay companies like Smart RE Data or CoreLogic or Local Monitor Report to figure this out for them. Who is buying, and where are they buying right now? Right. And this is something that us as investors, we also need to be thinking about when we look for areas that we want to invest in. So you're not just like, oh, I live in this area, so I'm just going to invest in this area. You've got to focus on who, where is everybody going to be buying on the back end? And it's not even like, where are the investors going to be buying if they want to rehab homes? It's where are the buyers who are going to be buying the houses after you rehab the home going to be buying? Right? So you don't want to just think one step ahead. You want to think like exit strategy ahead, right? Exit strategy. And then what type of financing is in that market right now? All right. This is a very good question. Why would we ask this? Because there's a lot of lenders that are not lending in areas right now because they think it's too risky, right? So the question is like, what lenders are lending right now? And so on this question, you can ask it on several different levels. So for instance, like if you want to get into rentals, all right, you've got to find lender. You've got to ask yourself what lenders are going to be lending in this area. Are there any lenders or not? Because a lot of the lenders in Atlanta have totally bowed out. Right? They're just like, I'm gone. I've seen left and right over the last couple of weeks. They're just, it's too risky. I'm out. Right? But that same lender may think Atlanta is risky, but not like whatever another area is risky. Right? So the question is really to be asking lenders, like, like especially the national lender types, right? If there's a national lender that you're working with or no, like maybe Lending Home or what, these ones that are just like all over, like Grand Coast Capital. And then you can ask them like, look, are y'all lending right now? And where are you lending at? Like, where do you think is risky or not risky? So that's a great question, I think, to look at. And that's on the rentals or the rehab side, right? And then you want to think like, okay, so now the buyers, what kind of funding are they going to get, and where are they lending, and where are they going to be buying at, and can they get money for that as well too, right? And that's the question as well too. So there's really kind of two sides of the equation. And then, so we've talked about researching the local housing market, right? So this is something that you really have to figure out. If in order to choose the right market that you want to invest in, you've got to understand the housing market. How can you figure out what the housing market is? I've already talked about, you can go to places like CoreLogic or Local Monitor Report or Redfin, and there's a lot of companies like that too. But what is another suggestion you think of how you can really educate yourself on the market in whichever areas that you want to be in? Can anybody think of some, put in the chat? Let me see if I can come up with the chat here. Can anybody think of any ways anyway for like how can you find, like Zillow is a really good source to determine how long a house has been on the market. Awesome. All right, that's good. Building permits, yes. Building permits, very good, very good. Let's see what else. Arlington, oh yeah, so Amazon moved to Arlington. So building permits is great, right? So I go to a conference every single year, and Smart RE Data puts this conference on. I didn't get to go to it this past year because I had to teach that day, unfortunately. But I've been to it the past couple of years. But they have like a yearly conference, and what they do is they show you kind of how what's going on in the housing market, and all they do is they just take the data right from building permits. That's what they do. So how many building permits are being pulled and where are they being pulled at, right? If they're being pulled in a certain area way more than any other area, well, guess what? The reason that they're pulling those permits is because they know from these data companies where people are migrating to, right? Where they're moving to, right? And so you want to be following. That's why I say follow these data companies, because they know what the trends are, right? So don't just guess at where you should be focusing on. Follow the market trends. Another thing that I didn't see get brought up is the MLS, right? So if you're not a realtor, then maybe you can talk to a realtor to get you this data. But essentially, whatever city that you want, if you want to know data on in Dallas or Nashville or Charlotte or any suburbs outside of all those areas, just find a realtor. Find a boots on the ground person that you can say, look, like I'm interested in focusing on this area here, but I need to know what the market is like. So can you send me the past year of where are people buying? And you can literally download these reports right from the MLS, and they'll literally show you, because I spend a lot of time looking at these reports. Where is everybody buying right now? Where are the houses being sold right now? What are the days on market for these houses in all these different cities or counties or zip codes, whichever ones you want to boil down to? And your realtor or you can actually pull those reports for you so you can take a look and see. So if you're interested, for instance, in like Alabama, tell them, I'm interested in Alabama, where are you? You're in Birmingham, so can you do me a favor and pull all the marketing reports for all of these areas, because I want to look through and really try to figure out what is trending and what is not trending, what areas are trending and not trending, right? So you can really educate yourself, because I'm telling you, the educated investor, the most resourceful investor, is going to be the best investor, right? We talked about cap rates already, right? So if you're interested in commercial or multifamily, you've got to know what are the cap rates of the areas that you're in, right? Where are the best cap rates right now, okay? And so that way you can say, okay, if you're interested in multifamily, so this is where we get the highest cap rates in this area, and you can get those reports from the exact same places I just told you, right? So on any of the ones you can pay for, or a realtor, and they can pull up where are multifamily being sold right now? Where is the commercial being sold right now? Where is everybody focusing on for these types of projects? Mortgage payments, right? That's another question, right? What is the average mortgage payment that everybody is paying in each of the areas, right? So you want to know, what are people paying for mortgages for houses and stuff now, because you want to know, because I saw a deal where it's probably worth about $300,000, maybe $340,000. Their mortgage was around $1,600 a month, right? That's actually a really good mortgage for a $300,000 house, right? So you want to know what type of mortgages and what areas are people paying, right? So that you can see, is that a good deal? Because there's a lot of areas, for instance, I can tell you, Peachtree City, I'm sure the mortgage rates are the mortgages are high, the houses are high, and the mortgages are high, right? Okay, but especially now, especially in the downturn, where's the average? People are paying on average $100 to $1,000 to $1,500 for their mortgage. That's what they can afford mostly, right? So, where are those at? Where are the mortgages at? Where are those going to be at, right? So focus on that. And then profit, you want to look at how much money, let's just say on average, are investors making on their flips, right? How much money are they making on average, right? depending on what the price is that they paid and how much money that they put in, on average, how much are they making across the board. So that's a really good one. And then your rent rates, right? So especially now in the crisis, you're going to want to know what's the average rent rate in any of the areas that you want to focus on, right? So is it 900 or 1,000 or 1,200 or 1,500? And the higher that it goes, then the less of the pool there is for people that can afford to live in those types of houses, right? So you want to kind of really understand that, especially so when you're looking at all this data and trying to figure out all this data, you're saying like, okay, like I'm going to wholesale. That's what I want to do right now. And so right now, if I want to wholesale, if you're going to be focusing on wholesale, you're going to be focusing really on affordable houses, right? Because there's not going to be a lot of people buying expensive houses anyways. And you're going to say, okay, like I know I'm going to be wholesaling affordable houses. And so my question is what type of house should I be focusing on? What area should I be focusing on? Should I be focusing on turnkey? Like a lot of people are going to be wanting to buy turnkey over the course of the next year. I'm figuring. So it's like, where can you do, like, where's a great place to focus on for turnkey rentals to wholesale them, right? Or if you want to rehab, it's like, where can I rehab right now, right? And where are people making money in rehabs, but essentially, at the same time, what areas are they focusing on? And so you really want to kind of think about, this is good stuff to be able to think about and focus on, right? I've always, in all of the 100 houses that I've done, I'm sorry, yeah, of 100 houses I've rehabbed, only I think maybe less than 5 have been over $350,000. Okay, I always focus on affordable housing. Why do I do that? Because like it's the one that sells the most. That's what's happening. It's the one that sells the fastest. So that's why I focus on it. Okay, so I'm going to ask a question right now. Okay, so who is still buying right now and they will be buying over the next couple of years? So who is buying right now and will be buying over the next couple of years? Let me know who you think is doing that. You could put age ranges in. What do you think of is the person or the type of people that are going to be buying over the course of the next year? What do you think? Let's see what everybody's saying here. Okay, baby boomers, millennials with high-tech jobs, 35 to 40-year-olds. Good guesses. Millennials. Yeah, so everybody has some good guesses here. We've got millennials, hedge funds, right? We'll be buying. I remember in the downturn when we were back in the bubble, man, there were so many hedge funds out there. When I first got in, there was not a lot of hedge funds, like 2010 to 2000, maybe 13 or so. Like there was hardly any hedge funds out there. I didn't even know what a hedge, when I first got in, I didn't even know what a hedge fund was. Like all it sounds like everybody started talking about hedge funds. And I was just like, what is a hedge fund, right? And then like from like 14 to like maybe 16, 17, like they were just buying everything up. And then like it started just dying down. Why? Because they just went out and spent all their money. And I don't even know if they got good deals. They just had to spend money because that's what they do. So, okay. So who is still buying right now? Right? And who is going to be buying over the next couple of years? The answer is millennials. Millennials. Whoever guessed millennials was right. So now that you know that millennials are the ones that are going to be focusing, right? So now they're just now looking for the first time house, right? So now think about this. The biggest pool in all of America is millennials to buy houses right now, okay? So if millennials are buying houses, what type of houses, what are they going to be buying? That is the question that you should be asking yourself. And what are they going to be buying and where are they going to be buying those? And when you figure those two questions out, then you say, okay, so then you say, oh, this is the market that I should be focusing on, right? This is where, like this, I know millennials are going to be here and in this area. And then you say, then I'm going to be researching and do all the data that we just talked about. You're going to research all that. And then you say, and I know millennials are going to be mostly focused on these areas. And then you can just like start setting up your marketing and be like, bam, 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 right there. Okay. All right, so now the question is, who is not buying right now? Who is not buying right now and will probably not buy as much over the next year, right? Which areas, which age ranges, or which type of people you think are not buying right now? Put it into the chat, right? What do you think? Okay, we've got vacation homes, first time baby boomers, baby boomers are downsizing, luxury home builders, landlords. All right, who else? Any other guesses? Who's not buying right now? Who's not buying right now? Any other guesses? Baby boomers and 20 to 30-year-olds. Well, we just said like millennials, you know, so I guess that's a millennial, really. Like they're kind of, I think they're like mid-20s and up, aren't they right now? Those in the service industry. Awesome. Good guesses. Okay, so who is not buying right now, right? Let's see who it is. Ages 75 to 84. That is who is not buying, right? So they've decided, right? They've decided, and they're just like going to stay put. No matter where they're at, they're going to stay put. All right. So you need to figure out, like, is the areas that I'm focusing on, like retirement areas or near retirement areas? Like, where would you think would be a good retirement area, right? And like, so you want to kind of stay away from those areas, because right now, this, you know, seniors, right, the older, you know, the older baby boomers are essentially saying like, we're just going to stay put. Right, so let's not focus on that. Let's not focus on that, right, for the next year until we see the data, right? Until we see the data. Okay, so now the nationwide areas that you should be focusing on per CoreLogic, right? So this is something that I just came across, and that's why I wanted to do this webinar. The most popular areas that you should be focusing on right now, right? There has been, over the course of the last year, a major population increase in Texas, Florida, and Arizona, right? So this is where everybody's going. And the states with the highest percentage of growth, right? Idaho, Nevada, and Arizona, right? Everybody wants to move to Arizona. Why? Everybody wants to move to Arizona, right? The states that lost the most people over the course of the last year, the states that lost the most people are New York and Illinois. Why do you think everybody wanted to leave New York and Illinois? It's too expensive. Oh my gosh, like so expensive. I lived in New York for several years. All right, it's just like Georgia and New York are like night and day. It's like night and day. And then the highest new home construction in all of the country is Dallas and Houston. Dallas and Houston, I mean, these areas are just booming. They're so big, they're spread out so far. I'm originally from Texas, and my family lives in Austin and Houston. And Houston is just building after building after building after, it's like nothing. It's just endless buildings. I would not want to live there, but everybody wants to move to Dallas and Houston. All right, that's where the most construction is right now. I saw something pop up in the chat. Let's see if I can get it to come up. Bad credit. Oh yeah, and too cold. Yeah. So New York is too cold. Exactly. Yeah, or Illinois is too cold. The Atlanta area. Everybody wants to know about Atlanta. Atlanta is in the top 10, but it's not like all the way at the top. It's like towards the bottom, right? So Atlanta is in the top 10 of growth out in the United States. But guess what? Boise is the fastest growing city in the United States right now. Boise is the fastest growing city. My family, actually, I'm from Idaho. My dad's family is all from Idaho. So I'm all, yeah, hell yeah, Boise. I used to go skiing when I was growing up in Idaho. So I love Boise. So I'm happy for Boise. It's growing. So if anybody's interested, focus on Idaho, man. It's booming. And that is not Washington or Oregon or California. That's not those three. Those three are not even anywhere close on the list at all, right? but Idaho is booming. And Colorado and Austin are the second in growth. So there's Boise, and then there was Denver, and then there was Austin. Those are the top three, right, in the United States. Okay, now it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of months. So you really want to be focusing on researching and understanding the market and analyzing the data to see what happens. I personally hope that Austin just like, right, because I want to buy some houses over there. It's like so expensive in Austin, you know what I'm saying? So, but we'll see. You know, I'm keeping an eye. I've noticed a lot more houses. I've been watching the Austin market for about 1.5 years now, waiting and crossing my fingers and watching. And I've noticed over the course of the last month, there's like every day there's like 4 or 5 houses coming up on the market under like a $200,000 range, which is what I focus on. And I'm just like, yeah. I got my realtor. My realtor is like a really good friend of mine. So I'm like, oh, what about this one? What about this one? So she just texted me one today. So you got to have like a boots on the ground person if you want to go outside, right? And let's see what else. The CoreLogic data is very, very, very up to date. Very up to date. Like they are just on top of it. They are on top of it. I would say they're probably more on top of it than all of the others. But like I said, I focus on those. The ones that I said were the 3. It was CoreLogic, Local Monitor Report, and Smart RE Data. Those are the 3 that I pay attention to. When they send out emails or reports or do webinars or something like that, I'm watching those, okay? And then, oh yeah, and then no income tax sell states are growing, right? So focus on those states. If they do not have an income tax, I'm telling you that the growth there is exponential. Okay, so now you got some idea, kind of, you're really focusing on virtual wholesaling outside of Georgia. If you want to do that, like now you kind of know, like here are the areas of growth that you can be focusing on, right? So hopefully that helps you to kind of hone in on what you want to be doing and to choose your market. And I think this is, you know, over the course of the next couple of months, we'll monitor to see how much it's changing. But essentially, I think these are really good. This is a really good start of where you should be focusing on. How to get to know your market. Because now you're like, okay, great. Well, I know Atlanta's good, right? Okay, so Atlanta's a good market to be focusing on. But like, you know, what if I want to go to Dallas or Houston or to Austin or, you know, go to Boise and start doing, you know, wholesaling in those areas or rehabbing, remote rehabbing or whatever you want to do. Like essentially you need to be doing, this is how you need to really get to know your markets, is like you need to have a boots on the ground person. My boots on the ground person is a realtor. All right. And it's a realtor in all the areas that I want to focus on. I get a realtor on my team and I have them just set me up on lists. Right. And depending on the market, right. So for instance, in Austin, I've been paying attention. Like I told her $200,000 or less. Now, typical houses are, you know, in the range of like maybe 190 to 3 something, right? Like, or higher, right? So 200 is like, kind of like, you know, Peachtree City, like you ain't gonna get nothing in Peachtree City for $200,000. You just ain't. Right? It's the same thing in Austin, right? Over $250,000 is a good start, right? It's a good start. So I told her 200,000. So that means if something comes up under 200,000, it's already a good deal. You know what I'm saying? So boots on the ground, you want like a realtor and you want to get them to set you up on lists, right? And then just start paying attention. So the list that I'm set up on are land, right? And the areas I want to focus on, the areas I want to know about are land, owner financing, and like 200, like, and then $200,000 or less, or whatever number is that number for you. So like, let's just say you want to go to like Charlotte and then you want to be like outside Charlotte. Okay, so now you got to research like what's the average sale price in Charlotte, and then what number should I be focusing on to get lists for on that. So you got to just really figure that out for your area, okay? And it could be you could set this up for cities, you know, so if you're interested in the Atlanta area, well, okay, so now you got to figure out where in the Atlanta area you want to focus on, and then you get a realtor to set you up just on those areas, right? So, and then they just send you the list for those areas. So, So this is cities or counties or zip codes or whatever you're interested in. And you want to, eventually you're going to have to, like, if you want to go outside, you're going to have to go visit that area, right? So you got to know that area, right? So I know Austin because I grew up in Austin, so I know Austin very well. So essentially, like, you know, and we do actually, we go there. We haven't gone there in the past. We were supposed to go this past month. We go there at least once a month, maybe once every 2 months. We go to Austin because my family lives there, so we just go visit them. But so I know that area very well. So if you don't have a boots on the ground person, you need to know that area. So you need to drive around, right? And you need to start really getting to know that area, right? Or you need a boots on the ground person that can do that for you and help you to figure out what you want to do. But if you want to wholesale, essentially, if you want to wholesale in any area, right? You know, I would start with like like, you know, a place like I have, like with Austin, which is like, I kind of know it. I've got family there, friends. I can go around, take a look at the property if I need to or whatever. And then you want to just drive for dollars. So like if you're here in the Atlanta area or wherever you're at, like you're driving around and then using the Deal Machine app to really just kind of start, you know, keeping track of where you've been, because that's what the Deal Machine app does. It's like just keeps track of like where you've already driven to, and then if you want to send postcards out, you can do that. So I like the driving for dollars. I like either driving for dollars or Deal Machine apps because it does keep track of like where you've been too, right? Because you can see it. So that's why I posted that here. But essentially get on some lists and really start monitoring those reports, those markets. Let's see. And I think that's it. Do I have anything else? Nope, that's it. So questions. I'm going to just... hang on right fast. I'm going to pull up questions, and I know people have put a couple of questions into the Q&A, but at least that kind of hopefully gets your mind, you know, right on where you should be focusing. And let me see. Oops, go back. Let's get some chat up here. Let's get the Q&A up here. There it is. And let's stop the recording.